Bros, presented by GhostBed.com.
What's up? Welcome back to Tomahawk'd. I am your host, Rob Fox, joined by Dan Holloway. This is your Braves broadcast, your Braves podcast on the Drinking Bros Network. And things have been going kind of good lately.
Yeah, I mean, better. There's still, I still don't think this team knows who it is. They're still kind of working that out, but, you know, you're going to have some of that.
If they can work it out while winning, I'm fine with them exploring themselves.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's, you know, the Mets got off to a pretty hot start. So, you know, Braves are still 7 games back, but I'm not too concerned with that right now. The Mets can't. They have a really good pitching staff when everyone's healthy, and no one will ever be healthy.
Right. Jacob deGrom is just like a dude that you can only get like 15 starts out of a year at this point.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't just have him start the season after the All-Star break, to be honest.
Pretty much, yeah. Just see what you can get.
Yeah.
Like, just see if you can get a full half season out of him when the games like super duper fucking matter. And then Scherzer's just old. Yeah,
it's the same thing that the Dodgers should be doing with Kershaw, to be honest. And pitchers have done it before. I think Dallas Keuchel's done it in 2 separate seasons where he hasn't pitched until the second half. I think Mike Hampton did it a couple times back in the day as well. You know, who knows what's going to happen with those guys. I expect Scherzer, who's been pretty tough throughout his career, to make it back and have some meaningful starts. I can't picture DeGrom having like a huge impact on the rest of the season.
I don't even know what his status is, to be honest. You never really fucking know. Like that guy's just fucking glass. But last 2 nights, the Braves have had 2 pretty big wins. We said last week that this portion of their schedule coming up is they have to basically like win most of their series over the next month.
Yeah.
Because this is the juiciest part of their schedule, really up until the All-Star break, is the cushiest part of their schedule. 2 nights ago, your favorite Brave maybe right now, William Contreras, hit a walk-off hit, and then yesterday had a solo home run. He's swinging out of his fucking mind right now.
Yeah, I mean, they have to keep him in the lineup.
They had him in left field 2 nights ago.
Yeah, he's DH some. He's played left field. Yesterday he caught, so I imagine he'll probably be back in left today
or
maybe
DH.
Yeah. Yeah, he's. I don't know what to say about the guy. He plays. He's an exceptional hitter. He's like usually when you see catchers come out of Latin America like that, they're excellent defensive catchers, and whatever hitting they do is a bonus, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of the opposite with him. I don't think he's not a bad receiver, not the best framer, not the best footwork. Like his arm is pretty good, but his footwork's not great.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that can happen. He's only 24. He can definitely improve defensively, but as far as offensively, especially how things have gone for the Braves so far this year, you got to keep him in the lineup. And keep in mind that they're all this. They've won a couple of series in a row. They should have won. This should be their 4th series win in a row. They blew a couple of games, one against the Padres and one against the Brewers that they should have won as well.
Yeah.
So they're putting together good stuff. The last 2 series, they've actually closed them out.
This is a 4-game series with the Phillies, so they have another one. But I mean, dude, this is what we said. They needed to start winning series in their easiest stretch of games over the next month and a half. Took 2 or 3 from the Marlins, have at least clinched a split with the Phillies, which in a 4-game series, I'm fine with a split.
Yeah.
Like obviously I want 3-1, but I can live with a split against a decent team in a 4-game series. One thing I was gonna say though, I feel like the Contreras brothers are like the inverse of the Molina brothers, though.
Yeah.
Like they're better hitting catchers than they are. Whereas like Benji and Yachty and who's the other fucking Molina? There's 3.
Dave, I have no idea.
Yeah, they were all just like all glove. I mean, Yachty was probably the best hitter, and he's like a good hitter. But I mean, most of his
Jose Molina is the other one.
Yeah. Those guys were mostly all glove.
Yeah.
But the Contreras brothers, they can hit. But yeah, I mean, last night was a great win. I was texting you in the middle of it. We'll talk more later about it. But Seeing Dansby hit a home run the other way like he did is a real good sign. I mean, they put in 8-9 runs yesterday? They scored a lot.
I think it was 8. Let's see. Yeah, 8-4 was the final. Yeah, it was a good game. I mean, they controlled it from the beginning. Not like the night prior, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, last night, they're still striking out a lot. 12 strikeouts in that game. But yeah, Dansby looked good going the other way, hitting out of order. He's usually a bottom of the order guy. He's hitting in the 2 slot lately. Austin Riley also looked good. He stayed on a couple of balls, including just a fucking mammoth home run. Contreras his power has been largely to right center this year, but that looked like an Ozuna home run, to be honest. Like, it was in on his hands. He pulled his hands in and hit it out to left field. I was very impressed with that. It looks like this demerit experiment might be over.
He had a nice week where it's like, oh, who's this guy, and he's kind of fallen off.
Yeah, in April and 21 at bats, he hit 381. So far in May, he's hitting 152.
Yeah, they stopped.
Yeah, they stopped throwing him fastballs down the middle, basically.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe he'll adjust. I don't know, but he's 27 years old. He's spent the majority of his career in the minor leagues, and I don't think he's a particularly good fielder either. So if he doesn't hit, he's not going to stay in the lineup. Not sure what the deal right now with Rosario is. Like,
his eyeballs still healing, basically.
Yeah, his eyes are still healing, and he's just riding the bike. He hasn't done baseball shit yet, so we'll see how that progresses. But yeah, they look pretty. They look better. They look good for this point in this season. This is kind of where I expect them to be, right around 500.
What do you think of Snitker? I mean, I think we talked about this off air the other day, but Snitker he's doing whatever he wants to the lineup. Like, he's putting guys that are hitting in spots where they're going to get more ABs right now.
Yeah.
I texted you that the other day right before Dansby hit that home run. I'm glad they're fucking giving Dansby a higher spot in the order so he gets more ABs, because he's one of the only dudes actually fucking hitting right now.
Yeah, he's he is moving a lot of pieces around to try to see what fits. I mean, part of that is a function of the injuries and Duvall not hitting so far. Part of it is a function of, I think, some level of confidence that the guys are all pros, proven winners, and that they're second half team, not just of the season, but in individual games.
Yeah.
That's just kind of been their identity for a lot longer than he's been the manager there, actually. That's kind of been their identity. So I think that gives him a lot of latitude in how to fuck shit up, see what works, see what doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
And I think if he's paying the kind of attention that I've been paying, I don't think the consistency in the lineup is something that seems to matter too much to this particular group of dudes.
It doesn't seem to have mattered at all.
Yeah. Like, I feel like changing things up has been super helpful. So that might mean that we'll see how that impacts the playoffs. I mean, maybe he uses a lot of different lineups.
Yeah. The only person who seems locked in is Acuna at 1. I don't think he's moving Acuna off the leadoff spot.
I mean, maybe, I don't know if he should or shouldn't, but I doubt it'll happen.
Yeah. I don't think he should at this point. I mean, you're doing – the guy does fucking everything. And it's still worth – honestly, it's worth letting Acuna see the worst fastball thrown all game right at the top of the game, basically.
Yeah, and I think maybe the 2-hole lately, I'm glad that Olsen's not there. I don't like him in the 2-hole. I just don't like.
Do you think that was a weird fit for him? Like, him personally? Like, do you think, mentally it was weird for him or anything like that? Or
maybe, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it didn't seem to affect him at the beginning of the season, that's for sure. Last year, he primarily hit third and fourth. Primarily third. Didn't do so well in the 2-hole when he was placed there last year. So I don't know if that mattered to him or not, but I think from the perspective of generating runs, it makes there is a lot of math that makes it make sense to put two high OPS guys back to back like that, especially if you have Austin Riley in a 3-hole, which I think he'll return to at some point.
Oh, for sure.
But Olson's not the kind of guy that can hit behind runners or that has a high contact rate that's going to hit. Like, let's say, for example, Acuna gets on base and steals second or hits a double to get on second with no outs. I'm not terribly confident that Olson can hit a fly ball to right field and get him over.
Yeah.
Or a ground ball to right side of the infield and get him over.
So don't fucking treat him like Freddie Freeman.
Correct. I don't think he's that guy.
Yeah.
But
let Olson be Olson.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Swanson would be better in that role. I think
he's certainly earning it so far.
Yeah, I don't like Albies there because it neutralizes a lot of his power. Which, like, if you have a guy that's successful because of ambushing and free swinging and shit like that, and isolated power in general, and you put him in a position where he has to shorten his stroke on a regular basis, I don't think that's good for him either. Dansby's not that way. Like, it's part of his game is to choke up and go the other way.
Yeah.
So I think that's more of a natural fit for the number 2 hole hitter. And the only issue with that is that it is going to have some effect both on the offensive capability and the speed at the bottom of your lineup, because the alternative down there is Duvall, who's not hitting, and Contreras, who's going to hit for power, but he's not, going to run the bases the same way that Dansby. He's not a second leadoff hitter,
right,
by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't mind the tinkering. There's a lot to figure out about this lineup, and they'll figure it out over time.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I agree. Like, they're gonna, and it's fine to tinker with it. They will figure it out. I think Acuna's probably the only one locked into a spot. I think even Riley's not locked into the 3-hole. I could see it ending up being where Olson hits 3.
Yeah, I mean, if it were me, the lineup that I would be running out would be Acuna, Swanson, Olson, Riley, Ozuna. That's what I would run out.
And then Albies in the 6-hole.
Yeah, or flip flop Albies and Ozuna based on the handedness of the pitcher.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Maybe because Albies destroys left-handed pitching. Not that Ozuna doesn't, but Albies really does.
Yeah.
And then the bottom of the lineup is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm also curious what's going on with Strider, but we'll get to that.
He looked dirty last night.
Yeah, he looks dirty every fucking time he goes out. I mean, if you just look at his last 5 appearances, 2.2 innings last night, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. 1 inning, no runs. 1 inning, 3 strikeouts, no runs. 2 innings, 3 strikeouts, no runs. He's only given up runs in like 2 of his appearances, I think. Is that right? Or earned runs? No, 3 of his appearances. So, I mean, this guy's pretty locked in. It's you got to wonder how they're going to use him in the second half of the season, and especially in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If I had to guess right now, I would say he's probably going to be responsible for at least 1, if not more, wins in the playoffs. Just stretching the starting pitcher out a little bit if they continue to use him the way they're using. So I'm really, really excited about that. But the back half of the bullpen overall has been good. But, Kenley Jansen's Kenley Jansen. I don't know if it's the last couple of blown saves he's had have been at least one of the runners that have kind of fucked up his vibe have been like little bullshit hits.
Yeah.
He seems to give up quite a bit of those.
He's always, he's one of those dudes that you just kind of white knuckle with.
Yeah.
Like, he's not like a super clean inning type of guy ever. And this is just like the 2 blown saves he's had in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever the fuck it was. That's just kind of what he does sometimes. Like, he's for sure an elite closer, but he's not.
Well, he's got 10 saves and he's blown 2, so he's 12.
10 out of 12.
10 out of 12, which is pretty good.
Extrapolate that out. right? Like, you take that. Like, he's not a clean sheet type of guy typically. And honestly, quite fucking frankly, dude, I don't want a closer to go into the playoffs with a perfect, like, 40 for 40 or whatever.
Yeah.
That sketches me out. Josh Hader did that last year, I think, didn't he? He didn't blow a save this year.
Yeah, he did in the playoffs, though.
Yeah, sure fucking did.
Freddie Freeman lit him up. But, yeah, I mean, if you extrapolate that over the season, typically a closer on a winning ball club gets about 50 chances in a year, give or take 40 to 50. That's about 42 saves. So, I mean, that's a pretty good year.
That's fucking fine.
You can't really complain too much about that.
Do you have something to say, Ross?
I do, actually. Ray Liotta has passed away. Not sure if you realize it, D'Anthony, but the jersey that was just brought in 2 days ago behind you is signed by Ray Liotta. I wanted to get your take. Is Field of Dreams a top 5 baseball movie? Bob says no.
Well, I would have to ask which movies you're putting ahead of it, right? The Natural's probably the best.
Yes! That's what I put. I had 1, 2, Natural. He hates the fucking Natural.
I don't like The Natural either.
I mean, it's a weird story.
The 5 I put in front of Field of Dreams. Well, I would put probably like 6 or 7 in front of Field of Dreams. But the my top 5 are in no order: Major League, Bull Durham, League of Their Own, Sandlot, and 61.
What about 8 Men Out?
8 Men Out.
I like 8 Men Out.
So fucking good, dude.
Yeah, I like 8 Men Out. I like that better than Field of Dreams as well.
Wow, Bob. Bob, show some goddamn
fucking
respect.
Telling you, man. It's just a guy fucking pouting about his dad on a farm and shit. Like, baseball barely happens in that movie.
The Natural is about more than baseball.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I like that the best. The Sandlot is hardly about baseball either, right? I mean, it's about childhood.
Right.
I don't consider Sandlot a baseball movie, really.
I do.
To be honest.
I do. One of the best. I've got Sandlot in my top 5.
I mean, it's a good movie. I enjoy it, but it's not. I wouldn't call it a baseball movie necessarily. But The Natural is more about baseball.
Benny the Jet went on to become a major league player for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
And the pinnacle of his career is him
Stealing
pinch
home.
running.
Yeah.
And stealing home.
It was later in his career. I don't need to go into the backstory. Like
this, Benny the Jet his best season was probably like 2 wins above replacement, split time in the outfield with another guy. You know what I mean? Like this guy, mediocre career.
I can't do this anymore. I'm out. I can't, Bob. I won't.
Yeah, I think Benny the Jet probably maxed out at like 110 games a year.
Yeah, he's. I don't know. He was probably a scab in the '94 season. But yeah, anyways, don't give a fuck about Ray Liotta either.
Not a fan?
No. I thought he's kind of hacky. Like he's been in.
Let the body get cold.
He's been in movies that are so incredible, and he did a really good job in them. But the body of his work, it's not. He's a very Nicolas Cage kind of actor, in my opinion.
Who is also awesome.
Yeah, when he's awesome, but most of the time he's not. That's what I'm saying.
He's a high volume shooter, right?
Yeah,
like he just shoots.
Yeah, but I mean the stuff that he's in that I like is incredible.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. Anyways, Kenley Jansen is he'll be fine.
Yeah,
he'll be fine this year. And the rest of that bullpen, I mean, it's good that they're getting some of this shit out of the way early. Because it's allowed a couple of dudes to step in. Like Colin McHugh is pitching well. AJ Minter is getting more reps right now.
He's looking like a top 10 reliever in the league right now.
He's getting good, confident reps right now because Nutsack is out.
Yeah.
And we're not worried about Nutsack at all. And then, of course, you've got Will Smith kind of tooling around a little bit. But Jackson Stevens, because of some of the other injuries, has gotten more time, and that dude's showing the fuck out too.
Yeah,
he's been. There's definitely not a better bullpen in baseball than these guys.
I don't think there is. It's fucking crazy how deep it is. And then it's the type of thing too where it's like, as much as we want Strider to start, you kind of don't want to lose that fucking weapon out of the bullpen. At least not this year.
Yeah.
Maybe if you need a spot start or something, but like I think if we make the playoffs going into October, you want Strider in that fucking bullpen.
Yeah.
Speaking of just, making October, whatever. One of the things I want to talk about, the Braves, we've said, this next month and a half is really important for them because they have a soft schedule. Kind of doubly important. I didn't realize this until I looked the other day. Kind of a doubly important schedule because the Mets schedule, coinciding with the Braves, running parallel to the Braves, is fucking loaded.
Yeah. Yeah, they're they will probably have an easier time down the stretch than the Braves do, but this is the time for the Braves to close the gap. They just have to play 600 ball basically. And they'll, because the Mets are probably going to play 500 or 450 ball throughout this stretch, especially because of the pitching injuries they have. The Braves play a little bit above average, just win series for the next couple of weeks, next month or so, and they'll do what they do, which is be within a game or two during the at the All-Star break, or like in the process of overtaking the lead during the All-Star break. I mean, this is the same shit that happens every year.
I mean, look at this. Like, this is a brutal road trip that they have to start off June. 4 against the Dodgers, 3 against the Padres, and then 3 against the Angels.
Yeah, then they play the Brewers right after that, who are, I mean, that it depends on
who they draw and
the pitching staff, but I'm assuming if you're playing against the Mets and you're the Brewers, you're trying to line it up to have your best pitchers going against them. That's a pretty brutal one. They get a bit of a break with the Marlins after that, but then they have 2 series against the Astros wedged in between those Marlins series. So
yeah.
It's going to be pretty tough. We'll see how it goes for the Mets. I mean, they've been good as of late, less so. Yeah,
they started off hot and
they have been good at home and on the road though, so it's not like one or the other. The Braves have been okay on both.
Yeah, kind of just mediocre everywhere. I mean, home road really hasn't been what I've seen with the Braves being like, oh shit, like the tough road trip or something like that. They're just kind of groping in the dark right now, trying to figure out who the fuck they are. But yeah, man, I mean, June is, I would say it's not like panic button or anything, but if we're still 6 games out at the end of June, that's not fucking good.
No, and it's you got to think it's unlikely. We'll see how the season continues to play out, but there's still a pretty decent chance that 3 teams from the West are going to make it in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and you don't want to put yourself in a position to have to play that the dumbass play-in game.
Yeah,
because it just burns your best pitcher basically out of the next series, and also one game series anybody can fucking win that. So you don't want that to happen. They really need to lock it up, and the Cardinals are having a pretty good year so far as well.
Yeah, the Cardinals have looked great. I mean, the National League looks to be like pretty deep this year. I mean, if you go 2 to 3 teams out of the East, for sure 3 teams in the West, and then 2 teams in the Central that all have the ability to make the playoffs. Yeah. Like it's going to be. And obviously, you just want to win your division.
Yep. The Phillies are not good.
Man, I want to actually go back and talk about that. The game the Braves won 2 days ago, that was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, just for the momentum of the season, if you're hovering around 500, which they're just behind the Braves, and one of the best closers in baseball comes in, your best player hits a go-ahead home run, and you fucking come back and without getting an out in the next inning, just blow the fucking game. Like, that can't happen.
Yeah,
it wasn't just it's the 2 elements of the Phillies that are going to be a problem for them all year. Their bullpen sucks and their defense sucks. Mm-hmm. And
that was by the way the entirety of the Phillies' identity in 1 inning.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Bryce Harper hits a goddamn bomb, just a gut shot home run. Power, offense, whatever. They come out the next half inning, drop a literal can of corn fly ball.
Yeah, I mean that was fucking stupid. And I mean whatever happened with Contreras next, he's a good hitter. You're gonna have that, but you can't fucking let that shit happen. I mean, goddamn.
And by the way, I saw people saying this online, and I know the Phillies broadcast said it too. But to anyone really bitching about, like, I know Acuna's had like his hustle issues or whatever, but like, I'm not gonna jump on his fucking dick for not hustling out of the box on what should 100% of the time be an out.
Yeah, he made it to second base. If he didn't, we can have that conversation. But he did.
Yeah.
So
and like what I mean, God, I guess if he was with how fast he is, if he was sprinting the whole time, he could have just had an inside the park home run. But
I mean,
like,
technically, yeah, but there's no outs.
Yeah. That's there were people bitching about that, and like, dude, what? Like, that was like the weakest ass pop fly. Like nobody is running out of the box. You think Bryce Harper's sprinting out of the box for that?
No, definitely not.
Bryce Harper's halfway back to the dugout on that shit.
Yeah.
Like that was an annoying thing I saw on that, but man, that was a ridiculous way to end that game. I had turned it off because I was just like, dude, I just was kind of over it. So I was sad to have missed that. I woke up the next morning and caught the highlights and was like, how the fuck is this how they won this game? But yeah, that's fun. Hopefully we take it today, get 3 out of 4 from the Phillies. More good news for the Braves. Ridiculous news, actually. Mike Soroka is way ahead of schedule with the Achilles. According to Justin Toscano, who writes for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Mike Soroka has been throwing bullpens and the other day was running in a straight line in right field at Truist. He's projected to return sometime around the All-Star break. Presumably that means after the All-Star break.
You would think so. I mean, you don't want to get a guy. I guess maybe if it's about 5 days off, I think.
Yeah.
So if you keep your normal rotation, I mean, I don't know, maybe they use him as an opener and let him throw a couple of innings, or use him in relief or something like that for 2 or 3 innings, and then let him start when after the All-Star break, maybe something like that. But you don't want to break up a guy's rhythm either.
I would say just let him, put him out there and give him 3 innings or whatever, 60 pitches, 70 pitches, whatever you think is safe for him. Yeah. And then just beef him up. Basically, again, you need to win games too, because we're not going to run away with the division at all if we even win it. So, the immediate need to win games, but at the same time, you want him good, A, for September when we have a bunch of backloaded games with the Mets, and B, hopefully for October as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he'll we don't really know what we're going to get out of a guy. It's he's a pretty he has a very fluid motion. He's not one of those guys with a herky-jerky wind-up or hard landing or any of that shit.
No, and he injured himself last year, 2 years, whenever the hell that was, 2 years ago, going for a ground ball.
Yeah, it wasn't part of his delivery. So
no.
It's just really about him getting comfortable, getting in reps, making sure he's people like him. Ian Anderson was the same. You can tell his rhythm is a little off. That's why he's having command problems right now. But Maddox, through his career, guys like that, it's the repeatability of the fucking motion, right? It's just like Steph Curry shooting free throws. And, without reps, you're going to fall out of that consistency. And hopefully he'll be able to find that pretty quickly once he comes back so he can get some work done. But it's, if he comes back in any way, shape, or form close to what we're used to from him, the Braves now have they'll have 4 dudes under 30 years old.
Soroka, by the way, is so young that he should be coming up for the first time right now.
Yeah.
Like, he's 24, and he's already finished 6th in Cy Young voting 3 years ago, 2019.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, it's for Anderson, this has been a breakout year for Kyle Wright. He's basically pitching like Anderson did last year, and Anderson's a little off. There's something with his release point, or it's probably in his lower body, to be honest. Just not he's driving too much off his back leg, or his landing foot is inconsistent and his trunk rotation is suffering because of that. And it's like if your front foot hits too soon and your trunk rotates too fast, then you drag the ball. And if you try to overcompensate for that and you plant, usually dudes will start not intentionally but unintentionally planting mid-foot or heel instead of on their toe. And they'll lag through the zone, which makes the ball go up and out. And if you're a changeup pitcher and you're lagging through the zone like that, you leave changeups belt high, and they go very fucking far. And it's happened to him a number of times this year, so I think it's probably more of the latter. You would think like a team that makes $1 billion a year would be able to pay somebody to figure that out for him and tell him that that's what he's doing.
Maybe.
Doesn't seem like that's happened, but who the fuck knows?
Well, you got to save money somewhere.
Yeah, Rick Kranitz is only making $80,000 a year, so
it's fucked up, man.
No, he makes like $100K, I think.
That's still bizarre. That is so low for a coach.
And he's basically an executive on the team.
Yeah.
But anyways, Anderson comes around. He'll figure it out. He's a pro. And then you go into the playoffs and you've got Max Fried, Ian Anderson, Kyle Wright, and Mike Soroka, and you're talking about
with Morton and Strider in there for
like 3 to 4 innings. Like one game it's Morton, one game it's Strider, just coming in and throwing gas.
Yeah.
In a mid relief mop up kind of situation.
So basically, like, oh shit, they're seeing him. He's tipping his pitches, some shit like that, just not working out.
Then you have that bullpen that they have. Man, I mean, it's hard to beat a team like that.
Yeah.
You
just see how good all of this pitching is from 1 through 17 or however many fucking pitchers are on the staff.
Yeah.
And you're just like, get me into October. Like, put these guys back in October. Like, that I don't know how you beat them.
It's also kind of weird that they have the same thing with the pitchers as it is with a lot of these hitters. It's the case for Duvall, for Riley, for Swanson, for Olsen, at least. I don't know about the other guys, but they all do better 2 outs, runners in scoring position than any other time. Like, what the fuck is that?
It's like they wake up.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyways, things are, I think, looking pretty good. The offense is starting to click, which is nice.
And I'm happy with Snitker, and I assume the front office as well, being like, hey, we got to shake it up. Let's try some shit. Let's get a little analytic with it, whatever. And Snitker, for his to his credit, like he sort of him and Mike Schilt are like the same type of person, like sort of a dumb caveman meathead type of guy.
Yeah. And
I guess what happened with Schilt and the Cardinals was that like he wouldn't listen to analytics or was like, I gotta go with my gut, and like, which I don't know why someone who looks like that would ever trust himself.
Yeah.
But he did. Whereas Snitker is pretty self-deprecating and is like, hey, I don't know what a number is, so you guys just tell me what, like I can't add.
He's not Art Howell either. Right? So he's not Art Howell was a Luddite that refused to play balls, for lack of a better phrase, or pardon the pun rather, with the analytics game. But Snitker is, the way he manages the lineup I'm good with. The way he manages a pitching staff, I'm not good with at all. I think he's terrible at it.
Although it's a bit more foolproof this year.
It's hard to fuck this up. Right. I mean, if anybody can do it, he will. But it's definitely hard to fuck this up.
Let's get in some ads real quick before we go to the rest of it. Another thing you shouldn't fuck up is your sports betting. And the best place to do that is mybookie.com. If you love sports and you love making money, and you answered yes to either of those questions, then mybookie.com is the place for you. Not only does betting with mybookie.com make every game more exciting, but when you sign up today using the promo code Drinkin' Bros, your first deposit is instantly doubled up to $1,000. There are thousands of bets to make on all your favorite sports, and there's no shortage of ways for you to win at mybookie.com. On top of having amazing lines and props, we love doing props, especially for I like it for all sports, but baseball, I like it the best because it's kind of game by game. Baseball's a little weird, but you can find some good props like we've talked about before on strikeouts and stuff like that. I'm a big fan of betting those. I wonder if there's any good ones today. Who's even anyone interesting pitching today? Tarek Skubal. I don't know how to say the name, but the Tigers pitcher, he's pretty lights out. He's got an over-under of 5.5 strikeouts. And then Kyle Wright, also over-under of 5.5 strikeouts.
And
today.
They're playing the Phillies?
Yeah.
I mean, the Phillies they're not a huge strikeout team, but Kyle Wright is, his sweet spot is about 7. If he has a good game, he usually gets about 7 strikeouts.
Even in as little as like 5 innings.
Yeah.
And then actually, this is an interesting one. It's long odds, or it's bad odds, it's minus 155, but Adam Wainwright, over-under 3.5 strikeouts.
I mean, he is 75 years old, but
He's the type of dude where he pitches to what the other team is.
Yeah.
So you'll see some games where he will have like 10, 11 strikeouts, and then other games where he has none because he's not trying to strike out those dudes.
Yeah, it's kind of it also depends on the umpire with those guys. So that's something. There's actually, if you really want to get in deeply on these prop bets, particularly about hits and strikeouts, like hits for batters and strikeouts for pitchers, go on Twitter and follow umpire scorecards, and they actually have a website that tracks the entire basically career of all these umpires and how accurate they are, what kind of strikes they call. If you see one of these dudes, like the umpire for the game with the Braves last night, who routinely calls pitches low and away strikes that aren't strikes, and you have a guy like Adam Wainwright pitching, bet the over on the strikeouts.
Yeah.
100% of the time, because that's just the pitch he happens to throw. And if that guy's going to call that strike all night, then people are going to have to swing at it.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
So props, awesome, mybookie.com. Get off the couch and get in the game with MyBookie and turn your love of sports into your new side hustle. Head to mybookie.com today. Use the promo code DRINKINBROS. You'll get your first deposit instantly doubled up to $1,000 and start winning today. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with mybookie.com. Next up, I wanted to talk a little bit about actually wanted to get into this Marcelo Zuna stuff first before we look at the rest of the lineup. Ozuna is having a really, really weird year.
It's been up and down.
And there's a chance, it's up and down, and there's a chance that he's been having awful luck.
Yeah, that is a possibility. I mean, he's been very inconsistent. That's 100% the case. Is it inconsistency because pitchers are trying different things? Is it inconsistency because his mechanics aren't fluid, or is it inconsistency because he's hitting the ball hard? Because at the beginning of the season, the stats looked okay, but they were low considering how hard he was hitting the ball. He led the league in April. He led the league in the most hard hit balls, which is a ball with an exit velocity of 95 miles per hour or higher, right?
Yeah.
But even then, he only hit 256 in April with only 4 home runs, right? It's not like he was a world beater then.
Yeah.
He's got the same his average is lower now, but he's got the same amount of at bats. He's got the same number of home run and RBI this month, but quite a few more strikeouts. So he's striking out more.
So it's interesting. So I was looking at the numbers on Fangraphs. He's hitting 234. Batting average is kind of whatever, but he's hitting 234. But his expected batting average is 274. So he's about 40 points below that. But this is the crazy thing. This is what's really fucking wild to me. His slugging percentage is 405, which is bad. That's what you would expect out of your shortstop who plays great defense. Yeah. His expected slugging percentage is 150 points higher.
Yeah, I think of everybody in the Braves lineup right now, he's probably suffering the most from the squishy ball.
Yeah.
I think Austin Riley did as well, but only because he was trying to muscle up to defeat it. I don't think Ozuna's changed that much. He's just hitting a lot of balls to the warning track that would normally be home runs or doubles. Riley, you could tell, started he's back on it now, but he was pulling off the ball, swinging too hard. His trunk rotation was too soon and too aggressive. He's corrected for it to a large degree now, and you see that with some of the hits he's gotten to the opposite field. Same thing with Swanson, by the way, who had 27 home runs last year, by the way.
Yeah.
And when he was taking those same swings and the balls weren't going out, I mean, your instinct is to try to swing harder. Maybe I'm weaker. Maybe I need to swing harder. That's not the answer, by the way. The answer is to change your game. But Ozuna's he's not the kind of guy that really changes his game.
No.
He just keeps doing the same thing over and over. He's kind of a meathead, to be honest.
He is for sure.
So I think you just got to put a guy like that in the right situation. I mean, maybe he's a good number 2 hitter. You know what I mean?
I mean, his on-base percentage is about as bad as you could possibly ask for.
It is now, yeah.
Yeah,
But
272 is pretty...
It's not going to be... there's no way it would remain that way if he's hitting behind Acuna and ahead of Olsen and Riley.
Yeah, you would hope so.
I mean, he's going to see quite a few fastballs there.
I wonder what his propensity for grounding into double plays is, actually. That would be something I would be
He's
interested in.
not fast.
Yeah.
And he is kind of a knucklehead, too.
But he is, I mean, he's got the second highest launch angle of his career right now. I do think the balls have a lot to do with this. He also has the second highest barrel rate of his career. So he's squaring the ball up.
I just think he's suffering probably as much as anybody in baseball from this squishy ass ball.
Yeah.
He's had quite a bit of success hitting in the 3-hole, less so in the 4-hole, but.
See, one other thing that was interesting, he's seeing like by far the most sliders he's ever seen.
Yeah.
Like 10 to 15% more than he's ever seen. And is like 34% of the pitches thrown to him are sliders. Does he have a hole in his swing that kind of sliders fuck with? Because he's pretty good against curveballs traditionally. I mean, and then obviously he's the type of guy who murders fastballs.
Yeah, obviously he's having trouble with it. He's early in the count. He's not seeing enough pitches, I don't think, because the vast majority of his at bats end within the first 3 pitches.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, he goes up there. He's like, what's his fucking name? He's like Joaquin Phoenix from Signs.
Yeah,
he's just like, I just had to swing at every pitch.
Yeah, and his 1-0, ahead in the count 1-0, he's 2 for 20. That shouldn't be the case.
No.
It's bizarre. Some of these splits are pretty bizarre in the way he's approaching at bats.
I mean, he's the type of guy, like, you watch him at the plate, and you kind of wonder, like, do you have an approach?
Yeah, he's only been in, he's, let's see, 3-0, 3-1, and 3-2 out of his 112 at bats. He's only had a 3-ball count 23 times. So less than a quarter of the time he's seeing pitches like that. That means, like, people aren't coming into the wheelhouse of Marcelo Zuna on a regular basis.
No.
He's swinging at bad pitches. That's what it means, right? So that slider it's not even the low and away slider. It's the one that starts middle in that ends up low and out of the zone, but down the middle, kind of, or maybe a little bit to the left side of the plate. He swings through that every single time.
Yeah.
Like, he can't hit that pitch to save his goddamn life.
It is very Pedro Serrano-esque.
Yeah.
He is actually, man, if there was ever a dude who was Pedro fucking Serrano.
He just needs to convert to whatever.
Voodoo
or whatever the fuck, yeah.
Get him in Joe Moon. Why?
Yeah.
I mean, one other thing that was interesting about him, so when did the balls go live? When did they get jumpy? It was like 2019, wasn't it?
19, I think, yeah.
His numbers are starting to look a lot like they did before the ball went live. His numbers pre-2019.
Well, he had 37 home runs in 17.
Yeah.
But, yeah, 18. I mean, he's a middle 20s home run hitter. And probably like 150 hits a year, so like a 260 hitter if he gets that kind of at bats. Doesn't walk much. Yeah, he's they're getting pretty good value for what they're paying for him, I would say, but we shouldn't expect him to hit 40 home runs or anything like that.
You can't expect 2020 again, which is when he was almost won the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
I think, did he finish second to Freeman in MVP vote? I mean, he probably should have. Like, both those guys were insane that year.
I don't know, but yeah,
he was high in the MVP vote.
He's a streaky guy, though. I mean, he goes on runs for sure.
Yeah.
If you look at his career, the splits over his career, they're pretty drastic even from month to month. So, maybe. I don't know. You have to, if you've got a hole in your swing, you got to fix that for sure. Though there's no excuse for that shit. If pitchers are routinely getting you out on the same pitch, then they're just gonna keep fucking doing it until you solve that problem. And he has not solved that problem.
Yeah, I mean, they don't care. They'll throw you the same thing over and over again, and he's just kind of like up there, smiling, happy to swing out of his shoes at anything that gets thrown near him.
Yeah, you got to wonder now. Contreras is getting quite a few more at bats. You got to wonder if Arcia is going to start getting more at bats as well. You got to wonder if the Braves organization is seeing the same thing we're seeing, which is that for guys with 40 or more plate appearances, there are 7 members of the Braves that have a WRC plus of over 100, right?
Yeah.
Which means above average. And then Albies is an outlier at 99, but that will improve as time goes on. If you have 8 guys over 100 WRC plus, those are the 8 guys that should be in your fucking lineup. I don't give a shit what positions you're putting him at. Arcia can play the field.
Right. Arcia can play anywhere.
He can play left field better than Contreras can, to be honest.
Yeah.
But he could also play. The problem is center field right now. Like they don't want to put Acuna back in center field yet.
No.
Maybe after the All-Star break and Arcia is in right and Contreras is in left. We'll see. We'll see what happens when Rosario comes back as well. But they've got some shit to figure out here because Duvall's not getting it done either.
No, not at all. And then his defense in center is like just fine.
Yeah, it's
what I mean?
serviceable. Yeah,
like it's not good enough to be like, oh shit, like we need him. So it's essential, but you can't take him out.
Not right now.
There's no one out. Like you can't put Heredia there, or you can't have Heredia's bat in your lineup all day. So they're basically there's just like it's almost like we have a pitcher hitting, right? Like there's just going to be one spot.
I mean, it's a good pitcher, but it's still a pitcher,
right?
We'll see what happens when Rosario comes back. Rosario can play center field. He's not as good as Duvall, who's already average. So it would be below average, but he's better in right. So, but he's got a hit as well. I don't know.
Yeah, and he was off to a terrible start. Now, granted, his eyeball didn't work, I guess, so that's probably important with hitting.
We'll see what happens.
Swanson, though, every year, like literally every year, is like, dude, this might be the year Dansby like puts it all together, becomes like a bottom of the ballot MVP candidate type of guy between the defense and like pretty good offensive numbers.
But I think he's just a 105 to 115 WRC guy that plays excellent defense.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that puts you in like the top 10 shortstops in the league in any year.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can complain a lot about that. I'm hearing more and more from the Twins organization that they don't expect to re-sign Carlos Correa.
Really?
Yeah. Especially if he puts up good numbers, like he's going to go back out on the open market. Mm-hmm. The Braves are in no way a contender to sign him, I don't think.
Correa?
They're not going to spend that kind of money.
No.
Why would they? I mean, is he a big enough upgrade over Dansby Swanson to go from the fucking $12 million maybe that Dansby would get on the open market versus the $30 million that Correa is going to get? It's not. There's no fucking way he's worth that much more. And the Braves aren't that kind of team anyways. So Correa is going to be – this is actually going to be really interesting to see how this is handled because the teams that I would send him or that I would expect him to sign with are the Dodgers, the Red Sox, or the Yankees, right? But none of those teams really need a shortstop.
Yeah.
So we'll see, right?
I mean, Correa, though, you could move him to third.
Certainly, but you're not going to move. I mean, if you think about the other teams involved, the Padres might be one that want to go spend money like that. I don't think they would either.
Well, the Padres don't necessarily have a shortstop. They might put Tatis back in the outfield.
That's possible.
They're not really necessarily enamored with Tatis at short. Like they want his bat is all they really want.
I could see the Dodgers moving Justin Turner to the pasture and bringing in Correa or something like that.
The Dodgers are going to have an opening at third base. The Yankees have Josh Donaldson at third base. That's not a long-term situation.
Definitely not, but they've got people in their farm system, I think, like this that kid Falefa, whatever his name is. They're pretty high on him at short. He's probably not going to move out of there. And then
Angels don't have a shortstop. Not really.
Gleyber Torres is still getting a lot of at-bats as well. Like, I don't know what their plan long-term is that. Maybe LeMahieu's 33. I don't know when his contract ends. Maybe they move Torres back to second base after that. Who knows? The Red Sox, I don't know what the fuck they're doing, to be honest.
That team is a fucking mystery to me.
Yeah,
that organization.
Like, they signed – they have Bogarts, Devers, and Story. The word on the street is they're going to try to retain Devers and Bogarts, so I doubt they're going anywhere. So there's no room for them over there either. I'm just thinking of teams with a lot of money to spend. The Angels are another team. They need a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you know who's always got money to spend too? Who could be a possibility is the Rangers. The Rangers always
could be the Rangers. Yeah,
Rangers always seem to have money to toss around.
Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if San Francisco makes a play for him. Longoria is pretty much done.
Yeah.
And if you had Correa and Brandon Crawford on the left side of your infield, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, it's pretty dirty.
Both offensively and defensively, those are good. Those are good options. So.
Who plays short for the Phillies? I mean, the Phillies always have money.
Is it Gene Segura still, or is he playing second?
Jimmy Rollins, right?
Need a fucking time machine for that. Oh no, it's Didi Gregorius.
Who is dead.
He's been on the IL most of the year.
He's passed. He's passed on.
Yeah.
Like, he's there.
Well, he's hitting 288, but no home runs, and
Yeah, he's a ghost.
yeah, the Phillies could be. They got money. We'll see.
And honestly, wait, I think the Mets actually are pretty good on the left side of the infield, right? Who's at third for the Mets? Obviously, Lindor is not leaving shortstop.
They have Eduardo Escobar.
All right. They'd probably take Correa over that.
Yeah, I would assume so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of teams out there. I can't imagine them staying in the AL Central.
No.
Like nobody gives a fuck about that
That is the
division.
worst fucking division.
Yeah.
Like, nobody cares about that division.
I mean, I like the Twins. I like
the Royals. The White Sox bore me.
Yeah.
Like, there's cool players on that team, but they're just like, I just can't get behind the White. Like, it's just so boring. It's just so dull.
I like Rocco Baldelli. As a manager, he's good. But the Twins are hard to watch.
Yeah.
Not like the Tracy Jordan movie. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, the Braves have quite a bit going on. Swanson is right there. Olsen has been a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah.
I think they need to. I think he's a 3 or 4 guy and not a 2 guy.
I agree.
Honestly.
But what's fucked up, though, is I think right now he's still second. Really, I mean, Arcia has a higher on-base percentage, but I don't throw that out a little bit. Olsen really has the second highest on-base percentage of everyday Braves players right now. Like, Acuna's at 400, Olsen's at 361, and then after that, it just makes you want to fucking puke. Like, it's real bad after that.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it this way, too. The distribution of on-base percentage throughout your lineup. You can concentrate it in one spot and hope that your 4 or 5 guys drive them in, right? Or you can distribute it through the lineup, which gives you maybe less opportunity for bulk innings, but more opportunity for single and double runs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that probably makes more sense to have a more balanced lineup for the Braves, especially considering how much power is in that lineup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From top to bottom. So we'll see how they work it out. I wouldn't be surprised to see Arcia get quite a few more bats, though.
I mean, at this point, why the hell not? Like, him and put the bats in the lineup. Like, just get wins, you know? I mean, Arcia, obviously, he gets on base and he's hitting for a good average. His batting average on balls in play is 423, so he is, like, that's not, 330 is like, oh, yeah, he's getting kind of lucky. 423 is like he's got a rabbit's foot up his ass. Like, that's absurd.
Yeah, he's had some good seasons. Like if you give him 500 at bats, he's going to hit you 15 home runs. And to be honest, a lot of these, he's like 250 to 275 hitter. He's definitely not a 340 or whatever the fuck he's hitting now.
No.
But if you're hot, you're hot. And they, like we said before, the Braves really need to take advantage of this situation they're in right now.
And like they used to say when we were kids, hitting is contagious.
Yeah, just like AIDS.
It's true. Not as contagious, I guess, but airborne.
Is AIDS airborne? Or you mean hitting?
Hitting.
Yeah.
Hitting's just kind of in the air, you know?
Okay.
AIDS is, we'd all be dead if AIDS was airborne.
Well, you might. I'm not poor, so only poor people die of AIDS anymore. Last, before we get out of here, I'm kind of irritated by this because I really want a professional baseball team to move somewhere here, but it looks like the A's are probably going to end up in Vegas.
Dude, I mean, they're still saying, like, oh, we're committed to Oakland, and see, this is why we need was it Hudson Yards? Was that what it?
Yeah.
This is why we want Hudson Yards, you know?
Oh, originally they wanted Jack London Square.
Okay.
Right? So if this downtown Oakland here, down through the middle of it is a street called Broadway, and at the very end, at the port right across from where you can see Alameda, you can see San Francisco over here is Jack London Square. Jack London, famous writer who was also a fisherman or some shit. I don't know.
Sure.
But there's a bar down there that's like the last chance bar because you couldn't drink over on the island.
Yeah.
So people would stop there, get fucked up, and then take the ferry over and work, and then come back and get fucked up again. There was a section down there that they wanted to put the baseball, and it would have been fucking dope. It would have been like Wrigley, how it's surrounded by all that shit.
Yeah.
Not like Texas Live, like a complex with multiple places.
Like an actual neighborhood.
But yeah, like St. Louis, how they have the
Yeah.
fucking hockey arena and baseball stadium right there and all those rows of bars and all that bullshit. It would have been a lot like that, and it would have been fucking cool.
Yeah.
But the city wouldn't do it, so they got to leave.
Yeah.
That's just how it is, man.
And
like
so-
that city sucks anyways now.
They were looking at 5 locations, the A's were. They're down to 2 now, but all 5 of those locations, including the 2 that are left, are on the Strip. So they're going to put a baseball stadium on the Vegas Strip. I think one of the sites is connected to a hotel and casino, which you got to be like... if
That would be pretty cool. I mean,
Pete
so they
Rose
had,
lives in Vegas, by the way. He's
Yeah.
got to be like, God damn it.
Yeah. They had that. So the Wynn golf course got torn down, and they were going to put a beach there or some shit.
Yeah.
Like a man-made lake with beachfront stuff and cabanas and all this stuff. That project got canceled. I don't know if it was because of COVID or something else, but that would be a pretty good spot for one because it connects to the Wynn Hotel.
Yeah.
I mean, why doesn't was it Steve Wynn? Why doesn't he just buy the goddamn A's? It can't cost that much.
No.
Like it's probably $1 billion to buy that team, right?
And if you move him to Vegas, you're immediately going to make your money back.
If you take the A's out of Oakland and put them in Vegas, and that team goes from worth whatever, probably $2.5 billion to be honest.
1.1 billion.
God damn,
That's
that's
a
it.
discount.
So it probably goes to $3 billion almost
Immediately.
immediately after that. So I don't see how you can't do it. To be honest,
Yeah.
baseball owners have to agree for the sale of a team. So I don't know how the politics of that shit works.
I don't think they're going to have a problem with it.
Well, there's no competition in that area, TV market wise, right? Because
Nope.
I'm pretty sure the A's already own that TV market, or they share it with San Francisco because those are the 2 closest.
Yeah, they're not getting in on the Rockies.
no.
Like they're not cutting into that or the
It could be the Dodgers
or the
Angels.
Diamondbacks.
Yeah, it could be that too because the Diamondbacks have some of the TV market in Utah as well. So it's a weird area.
Yeah.
because there's like not only large distances between in some of these TV markets, but the population centers are pretty low as well. Anyways,
At the end of the day, though, like that, I mean, it's like the owners, approving the Rams to L.A. or the Raiders to Vegas. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, at the end of the day, they're just going to do what makes the most financial sense for the league.
yeah, and getting rid of a fucking shitty small market team like the A's means that they pay less money into the fucking pool of whatever, the poor pool.
Yeah.
Whatever. Not that Oakland's using that for salary anyways.
No. I mean, yeah, Vegas is closest to L.A.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be.
Yeah, it's only 4.5 hours from LA.
So, but I mean, the Dodgers. I don't think the Dodgers are too worried about that,
No.
right? Like of all the.
No. Once this happens, and I assume it will over the next 2 or 3 years, the next big step is to get rid of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Dude,
They have to go.
it's.
Yes, you heard me.
They're a historical franchise.
I don't care.
I would say, how about this? They need to force the Pittsburgh Pirates owners to sell, because
Yeah, something.
there is no reason they can't. The Pirates of all teams, of all baseball teams, can't sit there and be like, it's so hard to compete in our small market when you have the Steelers with the second most Super Bowls of all time, or maybe the most Super Bowls of all time, tied with the
Patriots.
Patriots. Are they second?
Patriots are passing.
Okay. Either way, a ton of Super Bowls, and they support the shit out of the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're like, oh, well, that's the NFL, that doesn't count. The Penguins are great, are pretty good every year.
The Penguins have been exceptional since the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So,
And that city.
I mean, everybody has a couple of down years here and there, but they've been pretty consistently good. So have the Steelers. Like, you never see the Steelers or the Penguins have like 4 or 5 straight years in a row where they suck.
With a dog shit, yeah.
But the Pirates have sucked every year except for like 2 years over the last 30.
Yeah.
So what the fuck, man?
That really should kind of be in an ownership contract or something like that, where it's you wouldn't be allowed to run a publicly traded company like that.
No, I mean, they just need to have a competitive balance, like the way the English Football League has multiple tiers, and the Pittsburgh Pirates should be a AAA team. That's just how it is, man.
Oh.
Like, if you're not good enough to compete against the big boys, you got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Or if you're just not willing to, which,
Yeah.
I mean, they're not. Now, granted, look, I'll grant, they've tried, Pittsburgh once or twice has tried to do the whole tanking thing and just got about as unlucky as you possibly ever could with prospects, just not panning out at all. But at some point, like, you're just hiring the wrong people in the front office who are picking the wrong prospect. Like, it keeps happening over and over. They don't sign anyone. Not that I think, signing a bunch of free agents is the way to do it.
Not necessarily you need homegrown talent, but you have to complement it. And
Yeah.
they've never been able to do that. I mean, think about the people who have left Pittsburgh in their prime, even recently, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, through trades or like A.J. Burnett left in his prime, Garrett Cole left in his prime.
Charlie Morton.
Charlie Morton left in his prime. I mean, it's like fucking what. At some point, somebody's got to do something. What's the dude's name? The first baseman for the Nationals, Josh Bell, left in his fucking prime.
Yep.
I mean, goddamn, dude, they've had some of those guys are older, but if they just had kept the people they've traded away or lost in free agency over the last 5 years, they would be doing pretty well. I don't know what they're spending on salary, but if the difference,
Nothing.
The difference between salary.
Starling Marte.
Yeah, Starling Marte is another one. You can't fucking have $150 million difference in payroll.
Yeah. Man, I'm going through this 2016 Pittsburgh Pirates roster right now.
Yeah.
Here's a couple of the pitchers on here. Garrett Cole.
Yep.
Tyler Glasnow, who I believe they might have traded for Chris Archer in that terrible Chris Archer deal.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, man. Corey Lubke, Mark Melanson. Oh, man, what is any other? There's no one else that I super recognize. And then, you got like Francisco Cervelli behind the plate in the lineup. Josh Bell was there. That's when he was still young. That's about it for the lineup. Not really anyone else in there. Or for the infielders. And then the outfield, you had Adam Frazier, Starling Marte. Yeah, like there's some dudes on that team.
In McCutcheon.
McCutcheon was already a guy by that point, though.
Yeah.
Like he was kind of leaving his prime.
In 15? No.
16.
Wasn't he a...
He's 30 in 16.
Damn, he's old.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've had... that's not including the prospects that they've traded away either. I
Right.
mean, it's not a very well-run organization.
Imagine just a world where it's 2022 and the Pittsburgh Pirates have Garrett Cole and Tyler Glasnow at the top of their rotation. Not a bad team?
No.
Yeah. Fucking sell that team, dude. Fuck those owners.
They got to sell it.
Because it is a historic franchise with great uniforms, a great stadium. Maybe great fans. I don't even know at this point. Like, I don't.
Well, the Steelers fans are good. It's the same group of people. They're just pissed off that the Pirates continue to fucking suck.
Yeah.
The Penguins fans are good fans, too. Well, I don't know about the good fans, but they support the team.
Right.
Not always the same thing.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I got for today.
Yep. Fuck you.